Welcome in. If you're joining us right now, I know exactly why you're here.
You're the kind of person who just loves to learn.
Exactly. You're insanely curious about the world, but you also really, really value your time.
Right. You want to gain knowledge quickly.
Quickly and thoroughly. And most importantly, you want to do it without feeling completely overwhelmed by information overload.
Which is so easy to do these days.
It really is. Well, you're in the exact right place. Because today's mission is, it's a really fascinating one.
It's a deep dive into something very specific.
Yeah, we are diving into the metaphysical, the emotional, and the highly practical properties of an incredibly powerful combination stone.
Yellow hematoid quartz with pyrite.
Which is quite the mouthful.
It is a mouthful of a name, yeah. But the concepts surrounding this stone are just as layered as its title.
For sure. And I want to acknowledge right up front that our insights today are drawn directly from the detailed guides over at Crystals by Rob.
And what stands out immediately about that source material is that it doesn't treat this stone as just a pretty geological curiosity to sit on a shelf and gather dust.
Right. It's not just decor.
No, the guides treat it as a serious functional tool for what they call empowered manifestation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you are new to the world of combination stones, or even just, crystal properties in general, the name alone might sound a little intimidating.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's break down the actual anatomy of this energetic powerhouse.
Yeah.
That way we can understand exactly what the source material is claiming we're working with here, completely jargon-free.
Good idea.
According to the guides, there are 3 distinct physical and energetic components at play. First, you have the quartz.
Right.
And the source describes the quartz as the baseline amplifier. It's said to boost life force energy and bring absolute mental clarity.
Okay, and then?
Then you have the hematoid inclusions. These are claimed to be the elements that regulate and ground all that amplified energy.
That's the anchor.
Exactly. And finally, you have the pyrite. The pyrite is believed to add this incredible manifestation-focused strength. It fortifies the aura and reinforces energetic boundaries.
For those who might not be geologists, it really helps to understand what these terms actually mean in the physical world, just to grasp the metaphysical claims.
Yeah, what does hematoid actually mean?
Well, hematoid essentially means the quartz contains iron oxide.
Iron oxide.
Yeah, we're talking about rust, essentially.
Yeah.
It is literally heavy, earthy iron trapped inside the clear crystal structure.
Well, okay.
And pyrite, which I think a lot of people know as fool's gold.
Right, fool's gold.
That is an iron sulfide. It's metallic, and physically it's quite heavy. So when source material talks about grounding, they aren't just speaking metaphorically.
You're literally holding heavy earth-bound metals.
Suspended right in a clear, amplifying prism.
That is such a great way to visualize it. You've got the clear quartz acting as a magnifying glass, but it's weighed down by these heavy metals.
Exactly. And according to Crystals by Rob, that physical composition translates directly into its energetic function. That synergy is where the source places the true value of this stone.
Because usually if you want energy, you grab something stimulating.
Right. Often when people look for a tool to boost their energy or their motivation, they might gravitate towards something that creates a short, chaotic burst of intensity.
Like a sugar rush.
Yes. It feels great for a minute, almost like a sugar rush, but then it completely drains them. What the guides describe here is entirely different.
Because of the heavy metals.
Because the quartz amplifies, but the hematoid grounds. It creates what the source calls a dynamic yet stabilizing energetic field.
Dynamic yet stabilizing.
Yeah. It's designed to support endurance. It's actually claimed to protect the user from energetic drain, from burnout, and from external interference.
I want to pause on that idea of energetic boundaries, because that can sound a bit abstract.
Sure.
Based on the source's description, it sounds a lot like putting your phone on
Do Not Disturb mode.
Yes. Putting your personal energy on Do Not Disturb. You're still functioning, you're still doing your work, but you aren't letting every single ping, notification, or demand from other people drain your battery.
That is a perfect analogy. It is about strengthening the personal energy reserve while maintaining balance.
Which is so relevant for the listener.
Oh, entirely. In our modern context, where the epidemic of burnout is just everywhere, we are constantly bleeding energy to our inboxes, our social feeds.
A daily commute.
All of it. The source positions this combination stone as a tool to interrupt that cycle of constant drainage. For highly active individuals or leaders, it's about sustained energy.
And that Physical and energetic endurance bleeds directly into how the guides say this stone impacts emotional resilience, right?
It does.
According to Crystals by Rob, the emotional shift associated with this stone is pretty significant. The guides state that it is known for lifting absolute heaviness.
Which a lot of people are carrying right now.
Yeah. If a person has been feeling stuck, unmotivated, or just paralyzed by the day-to-day grind, this stone is believed to dissolve self-doubt, indecision, and emotional stagnation.
It lifts the fog.
It replaces anxiety with optimism and courage. It essentially restores a person's emotional momentum.
What's fascinating here is that the source material is very careful to clarify what this emotional shift actually looks like. While this stone is not described as a tool for emotional avoidance, it does not encourage you to just slap a smile on your face and suppress your feelings.
No toxic positivity.
Exactly. We see that a lot in certain wellness spaces, right? Where any negative emotion is just pushed away or ignored. But because of the grounding hematoid influence we talked about, that heavy iron element, the guides claim it actually stabilizes the emotions.
So it prevents those wild mood swings.
Right. It's said to clear the mental fog and the emotional overwhelm so that your feelings can be clearly understood and faced with self-assurance rather than just shoved down.
Wait, I want to challenge that slightly based on the anatomy we just broke down.
Go for it.
If the quartz amplifies energy and the pyrite brings this fiery, manifestation-focused ambition, wouldn't that combination just amplify someone's anxiety?
That's a fair question.
I mean, how does adding fire to an already stressed-out system not just make a person more anxious?
That is the exact friction that makes this combination so unique in the literature. If it were just quartz and pyrite, the source suggests it might indeed be too overstimulating.
All acceleration, no brakes.
Exactly. But the inclusion of the hematoid, the earthbound iron, acts as the anchor. It dictates the pace.
Oh, I see.
The guide suggests that it prevents emotional overreactions, allowing the user to face their fears or anxieties with complete clarity. You're not getting swept up in a panicked, fiery response.
You're transforming the emotional challenge into a source of momentum.
Rather than a source of panic, yeah.
The source actually details some very specific targeted applications for these emotional benefits.
Like what?
Well, it's recommended in the guides for releasing chronic fear and worry. It's also highlighted as a tool for rebuilding confidence after someone has gone through a significant emotional setback.
Like a tough breakup or a professional failure?
Yeah, exactly. Furthermore, it encourages the user to set those healthy emotional boundaries we discussed, keeping that do not disturb mode active.
Which is crucial for preventing burnout. And that sense of purposeful, guarded energy seamlessly transitions into how the source material handles the concept of spiritual growth.
Because they don't allow for spiritual escapism either.
No, absolutely not. Just as they argue against emotional escapism, they argue against checking out spiritually.
I was really struck by how the source material phrases this. The guides state that this crystal supports a spirituality that is lived, applied, and embodied.
Embodied is the key word there.
Because usually, when we think about spiritual growth in popular culture, we picture pulling our energy upward and away from the physical world.
Floating off into the clouds.
Right. Retreating to a silent mountain, meditating for hours, and escaping the stress of daily life. But the documentation for yellow hematoid quartz with pyrite outlines the exact opposite approach.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it changes how we view spiritual practice entirely. In the context of this combination stone, the pyrite is described as a force of divine will and inner authority.
It strengthens a person's faith in their own capabilities.
Right. But it's those heavy hematoid inclusions that ensure that higher awareness actually grounds into the physical world. The source claims it demands discipline. It demands consistency.
It's spiritually aligned leadership.
In the boardroom, in the classroom, or in the home, rather than just retreating from the world when things get difficult.
It reinforces the idea that spiritual growth is actually expressed through action and responsibility right here on Earth.
You don't get to just meditate away your problems.
No, you have to take the clarity you gain from meditating and actually use it to have that difficult conversation with your boss.
Precisely. It is about embodiment. And to achieve that embodied, grounded spirituality, the source material maps out how this stone purportedly interacts with the human energy system.
The chakras.
Yes. The guides claim it activates two very specific lower energy centers to create a stable foundation for higher awareness. It primarily focuses on the solar plexus chakra and the root chakra.
Okay, so if it's forcing you to ground this high-level spiritual energy into physical reality, how does the source actually map that out?
Let's look at the solar plexus first.
The guides state that the solar plexus chakra is the center of personal power, will, and self-confidence. This is where the crystal is said to help clear out that indecision we mentioned earlier.
It activates willpower
While keeping the user balanced. And then it creates a stabilizing connection down to the root chakra.
The anchor.
Right, the anchor. It takes all that ambition from the solar plexus and pulls it into physical reality to ensure the growth is sustainable. Now, the source material provided from crystals by Rob goes into incredible, vibrant detail about the associations for these two chakras.
They really do.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the contrast between the two lists paints such a vivid picture of the dual energy we're talking about. I'm looking at the source's list of associations for the solar plexus, and it is intense.
It is the energy of personal power and sheer will, so the symbols are naturally going to reflect that intensity.
It really does. For the solar plexus, the guides list the element as fire. The planets are the sun and Mars.
Okay.
Then the animals get the dragon, the cat, the snake, the mantis, the scorpion, the phoenix, the coyote, and the fox.
Wow.
The spirits are salamanders and fire drakes, and the archangel is Michael. Even the gods are intense. Agni, Horus, Prometheus, Vulcan, and goddesses like Helios and Nereid. What is the through line here? Why these specific, almost aggressive symbols?
Look at the nature of those symbols. The dragon, the phoenix, Archangel Michael, Prometheus, these are all archetypes of fiery transformation, protection, and piercing clarity.
They're fierce.
They represent the Pyrite aspect of the stone. They are active, assertive forces that burn away the old to make way for the new. It is the spark of manifestation.
But a spark alone will just burn out quickly if it doesn't have fuel.
Exactly. It needs a hearth to contain it.
Which brings us to the root chakra associations in the guides. And the contrast is kind of jarring in the best way. For the root chakra, the element is earth.
Naturally.
And the animals shift completely away from dragons and scorpions. The guides list the cow, the bull, the horse, the ant, the bear, the wolf, and the dog.
Such a shift.
The spirits are gnomes, dwarfs, trolls, and leprechauns. The herbs include heavy roots like ashwagandha, ginger, turmeric, and dandelion root.
Consider the difference in energy there. Bears, bulls, ants, and heavy roots pulling deep into the soil.
It feels weighty.
These are incredibly grounded, steady, endurance-based symbols. They represent the heavy iron of the hematoid. I mean, an ant can carry many times its body weight through sheer, consistent effort.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A bear represents deep reserves of physical energy and hibernation, knowing when to rest and when to exert force.
But the source material also highlights some fascinating overlaps between these two completely different sets of symbols.
There are a few key ones.
Both the fiery solar plexus list and the earthy root chakra list share the planet Mars, and they both share the goddess Nereid. What do we make of that overlap?
That overlap is the key to understanding the entire philosophy of this stone, according to Crystals by Rob. Think about the planet Mars.
The god of war.
Right. In astrological and mythological traditions, Mars is the god of war and action. In the solar plexus, that Martian energy expresses as fiery ambition, courage, and the initial push of willpower.
The charge forward.
But in the root chakra, that same Martian energy expresses as the disciplined, strategic endurance needed to see a campaign through to the end.
Oh, wow.
It takes the fire of the dragon and the steady endurance of the bull and puts them into one single, stable foundation.
It bridges the gap between getting inspired and actually executing the plan. So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
How do you actually use it?
Right. How do the guides suggest a person actually use this fiery, earthy, stabilizing stone in their everyday routine? The source doesn't just leave us with abstract metaphors about dragons and bears. It gives an incredibly practical how-to list for turning these intentions into actionable plans.
Because again, the underlying philosophy here is lived and applied spirituality.
Let's be useful.
The tools have to make sense in the context of a modern, busy life. Furthermore, even if someone approaches this purely from a psychological standpoint rather than a metaphysical one...
Right, just as a mindfulness tool.
Exactly. There is immense value in physical intention setting. Placing a heavy, metallic object in your environment serves as a constant, tangible reminder of the resilience and focus you are trying to cultivate.
That makes a lot of sense. The physical weight of the stone acts as a psychological anchor. According to the guides, the first practical application is simply to carry it as a pocket stone or wear it as jewelry.
For daily emotional strength.
Yes, keeping that do not disturb boundary active as you move through different environments.
Having it physically on your person allows for that tactile reminder. When you feel the weight of it in your pocket, it can serve as a physical cue to take a breath, ground yourself, and assess your emotional state before reacting to a stressor.
The second application the source suggests is placing it in a workspace or an office. They highly recommend this to support focus, clear decision-making, and leadership energy.
That application aligns perfectly with the stone's supposed ability to prevent energetic drain.
Because work is exhausting.
The workspace is arguably where most people face the highest level of external interference and stress. By keeping it on a desk, the guides suggest it acts as a constant filter, maintaining that dynamic yet stabilizing field where you need it most.
The guides also advise keeping it nearby during periods of high stress to prevent that specific type of executive burnout.
Which is so common.
Beyond just keeping it in the room, the source recommends actively meditating with it. Specifically, they suggest meditating with the stone right before an important task or a difficult conversation.
To align confidence with calm clarity.
Right.
That goes back to the idea of replacing anxiety with optimism and courage. Instead of walking into a difficult meeting with a chaotic, racing mind, the guides propose that meditating with this combination stone helps pull that scattered energy down into the root.
Organizing your thoughts.
So you can speak from a place of grounded authority.
Finally, the source mentions including it in long-term crystal grids that are focused on sustained growth and success. The overarching philosophy from Crystals by Rob really shines through all of these practical applications.
It really does.
They consistently honor this stone, not as a magic wand for an overnight fix, but as a serious tool for practical empowerment. It is celebrated for fostering steady success and providing the daily courage to move forward with absolute self-belief.
Synthesizing everything we've looked at today, it becomes very clear why this specific geological combination holds such a unique place in the source material.
It's definitely not your average crystal.
No, this isn't just about getting a quick burst of motivation to start a project that you will inevitably abandon by next week. The guides paint a picture of a deeply protective, highly grounding ally.
An ally for the long haul.
Exactly. It's meant to help you sustain your long-term goals without burning out, without losing your emotional center to toxic positivity, and without losing touch with the demands of physical reality.
It's a bridge.
By bridging the amplifying power of quartz, the heavy anchoring of hematoid iron, and the fiery will of pyrite, it purportedly protects your energy boundaries while pushing you forward.
It is positioned as the ultimate tool for anyone who wants to lead, create, or just navigate their daily life with sustained, vibrant energy. It is about moving ideas from mere thought into actual physical form, and doing it in a way that respects your own limits.
This raises an important question, something for you to consider as you go about the rest of your day.
I love this part.
We've spent this time analyzing the mechanics of empowered manifestation, the necessity of endurance, and the importance of protecting your energy from external drains. If you were guaranteed a steady, grounded supply of energetic endurance, a reserve that absolutely could not be drained by external interference or the demands of others, what is the very first intention you would move from thought into physical reality today?
Wow. That is such a powerful scenario to sit with. Think about what you would build or what conversation you would finally have if you knew for a fact you wouldn't burn out in the process. Thank you so much for joining us and unpacking this fascinating source material with us. Take that question, take that grounded confidence, and carry it with you into your day. We will catch you on the next deep dive.